Let's go tame the beast. It was a cold, dark, rainy spring evening in April of 1979. On Friday the 13th, the day before the park opened to the public, Kings Island was treating about 1,000 contest winners to a beast party. Everyone was unconcerned about the weather as they headed for the beast. It looks as if they are having a little trouble here, but once they got it taken care of, everything went smoothly. Now let's sit back and watch passengers riding and unloading. Let's enjoy a few shots of the beast and the beast station, and later we'll have our chance to ride the beast. As we left, after an exciting evening, we took one last look at the park. In 1975, after only 3 years of operation, Kings Island decided to build a new roller coaster. They first considered recreating the old Shooting Star at Coney Island in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Shooting Star was a high-speed, out-and-back coaster with a 360-degree tunnel-enclosed curve at the end of the ride. Meanwhile, other parks were building higher and faster coasters such as the Loch Ness Monster, Gemini, and Colossus. So Kings Island realized in order to compete, something very unusual was needed. After looking at the 35 acres of hilly forested terrain in the back of the park, they decided that this would be a perfect place to build the ultimate roller coaster. Construction began in May of '78 by cutting a path through the densely forested area. Concrete footers were laid, some of them up to 14 feet deep, and 3 underground tunnels were dug. By late fall, the 2 lift hills could be seen rising above the tree line. A maximum of 200 people worked for a total of 87,000 hours to complete the ride. Then an appropriate name was chosen, the Beast. On Friday, April the 13th, 1979, over 200 members of the news media gathered at the Beast and were treated to rides. It was raining, the track was slick, and the beast was running faster than ever. By the time the ACE members arrived in June for their second convention, the beast had been tamed somewhat by some check brakes. During that convention, Charles Dinn, the designer of the beast, spoke to the ACE members, listened to their comments, and answered their questions. Near the end of his talk, he announced to a cheering group of acers that both the helix and the left curve coming out of the first underground tunnel would be rebanked from 25 to 40 degrees to permit higher speeds. After the park closed for the season, work on the rebanking began. After the helix was rebanked, the lower half of it was enclosed in a tunnel. Next, the second and third underground tunnels were combined into one long 371-foot tunnel, and a new, more powerful motor was added to the second lift hill. The following spring, after all the improvements were made, Dr. Max L. Brown, professor of mechanical engineering at the University of Cincinnati, came to the beast. He set up his motion picture camera at the bottom of the first drop near the first underground tunnel. He photographed the beast as it entered and exited the first tunnel and recorded a new world record speed of 64.77 miles per hour. Radar guns were also used, which clocked the beast as fast as 67 miles per hour.
It's like a scene from King Kong. Press gathered from all over the place to see the unveiling. This is a beast of a different stripe. A bit later, Glenn and I will try to tame the beast.
He says that in all bravery right now. I just spent the last 20 minutes trying to con him into getting aboard the beast here.
1 month ago, the beast left, taking some brave souls on a ride up the hills. A few minutes from now, Glenn and I take our turn on the beast.
Well, here we are, and we're just about ready. We got one train set in back of us, waiting for another train to come in. Hopefully it'll come in on time. The beast might have gotten really unchained back there somewhere. It is a really exciting ride. You haven't had an opportunity to be on it yet.
The whole thing is just awesome, you know, the way it's all structured and how formidable the whole thing is.
It really is, and the comments from the people that are coming off all over me, they're going, wow, catching their first breath.
In shock.
For about 3 minutes and 40 seconds. But earlier today, we had the opening ceremonies here at Kings Island and the Beast, and Chairman of the Board of Taft Broadcasting Company, Mr. Charles Meacham, was along with President of the corporation, Dudley Taft, and I was so proud and pleased to see my old outfit, the United States Marines, cutting that chain and let everybody aboard the inaugural ride of the Beast. And the comments from Mr. Meacham and Dudley Taft were pretty wild,
They
too.
actually rode the thing, you know?
They rode right smack in the front seat of the thing. And, you know, these guys went all over the country, you know, taking a shot here and taking a shot there, looking what was going on. So they were getting ready for a ride. And they really didn't know what to expect when I talked with them earlier. And, of course, if Steve Deschler hadn't been away on vacation and we hadn't called him back, he might have done something about the weather situation. Luckily, with the help of, we were up here all day yesterday, and we may be in the Guinness Book of Records for a little while anyway, because we got to ride it about 10 times while we were taping. And Clay Wagonlander, our videographer, man, just did a fantastic job on it.
Well, you rode this thing like 10 times yesterday.
Yeah, I was in traction for about 2 hours last night. After a hot bath and a lot of traction last night. But our extra crew did a fantastic job, and it'll be seen all over the country. And that's kind of nice to know that really our great. Extra crew and our Eyewitness News crews.
We're going to see what you saw yesterday now?
Yeah, you want me to take you on a little bit of a tour?
Take me on a ride. Take me on a ride.
All right, from the seat of the beast as we unchained it yesterday, I'll try my best to give you a blow-by-blow description as we take some of these bends. So crank her up, folks, and let's go back to yesterday. Well, welcome aboard. And nice to have you with us at Kings Island Amusement Park, located near Cincinnati, Ohio. And today we're on the go to unleash the beast, a brand new roller coaster ride that should enchant everyone, young and old alike. For some of you carpentry and woodworking buffs, we might remind you that there's some 850,000 board feet of lumber that went into the building of the beast here at Kings Island. Close to 85 miles of electrical wiring, some 84 various electrical switches, which at this point I find myself hoping all are in good working order. As we make this first climb, we're climbing out to about 135 feet as we reach the top here. And you get a spectacular view of the surrounding countryside as well as the rest of Kings Island Amusement Park. Now this first drop is going to be for 135 feet at a 45-degree angle, and we should be picking up a lot of speed just about right now after that dramatic pause, and we're heading for a hole in the ground. Oh, yes! At about 70 miles an hour, that drop into that tunnel looked like we were going into a mouse hole. Down a small slope around the bend into another tunnel. In building the beast, they've taken advantage of a lot of the natural terrain. Ravines and gullies all come into play. And as we hit some of these, we'll be dropping at various angles from anywhere from 30 degrees to 18 degrees. Unchained the beast. Haven't quite tamed it, but we've unchained it. I'll tell you what, I have talked a lot in our life.
There goes one.
But here's one taking off now. But trying to talk while you're holding yourself against a couple of G-forces was a whole new experience.
Now, did you actually talk on the very first ride or after that?
No, we took the camera on the first ride. I just kind of held on for dear life for the first ride, because when you think you're dropping about 13 and a half stories, now remember that, 13 and a half stories down into that little hole in the ground, you know that car ain't going to fit down
Tell me
there.
about it. We'll have a little bit more on this after this break.
His best to hold everything off, but here comes the beast. So if we're all set, let's get things loaded here. We'll say goodbye to you all. Enjoy the beast at Kings Island. For Steve and myself, have a good day.
This is a 2-foot by 3-foot lighted map of the beast. I regret that the photos of the map are upside down. We'll show the photos corrected at the end of the tape. The circle of track on the map is the helix. On the corrected photo, the helix will be below. The trees of the forest are depicted by small dots. Directly below the lighted map is the electronic control panel, which shows where the beast is at all times. This is the early construction of the beast. The concrete footers are 9 feet apart, and some of them are 14 feet deep. This is the entrance of the first tunnel. Children in the area looking over the construction site gives you an idea of the size of things. These are more shots of the same, the footers and the tunnel. At its lowest point, the tunnel is 18 feet underneath the ground. The height inside the tunnel is approximately 10 feet. This is the exit of the first tunnel. You can see the footers curving off to the left. This is the service road of the beast going down into the forest. These are the concrete footers for the 18-degree drop into the helix. From here we move over to the racer. The ACE members are enjoying their morning ride session on the racer. The camera crew from the television show Real People were also there to do a show about the ACE Club. Here they're setting up their cameras. We all rode the racer for several hours that morning. There's another view of the Real People crew. If you see one guy doing more than his share of waving, that's my friend John Crothers. We're now at the Marriott Inn on Chester Road near Cincinnati, Ohio, the official meeting place of the ACE members. Paul Greenwald set up his working model wooden roller coaster in the convention room for the enjoyment of the ACE members. For the coaster track, he used the railroad track from a miniature toy train set. He also used a small electric motor to pull the cars up the lift hill. This ACE member collects patches from every park he visits and puts them on his jacket. I'm looking at and admiring his jacket. We're in the Kings Island parking lot discussing roller coasters and waiting for the park to open. I'd like to tell you what happened to me while I was operating the space rocket at LaSordsville. After I finished locking the lap bars on the cars, Tom, who was operating the brakes, let the train out of the station. As one of the cars passed me, a girl grabbed me by the shirt and held on so tightly I couldn't get loose. I had to jump on the running board of the car as it left the station. Tom saw my predicament and turned off the motor. When I arrived at the lift hill, the car stopped on the chain, and I hopped off and asked the girl if she wanted out. She climbed out of the car a little embarrassed, but preferred embarrassment to being scared to death on the coaster. For you trivia buffs, the Kings Island Racer was the 116th roller coaster to be built by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company. Very soon we'll be riding the Racer. You'll enjoy it. Here I am at Lesourceville Lake, now called Americana, near Hamilton, Ohio. The year is 1976. We are replacing 2 top boards on the track. Before we nail the boards in place, we paint them with tar and creosote to prevent deterioration. A thorough maintenance job includes replacing any worn steel and any deteriorating wood wherever it may be. The board is now being nailed on the track with the creosote side down. Galvanized nails are being used because they are rust-proof. Now the top side has to be creosoted. Here you get a good look at approximately 100 feet of new boards. We do maintenance during the fall, winter, and spring when the weather is suitable, in order to have the coaster in good shape by opening day. The track is made up of 8 layers of wood, 6 2x6s and 2 2x8s. That winter we replaced all the layers of wood on both sides of the track in the bottom of the first dip, and also all the layers of wood on the right side of the track on top of the small hill next to the first dip. Of course, we had to keep warm. Before we send the train out for the first test run, we mop the track with a solution of kerosene and oil to remove the thick coat of rust-preventing grease we put on the steel after the park closed that fall. Next, we have to fill the cars with people or sandbags. The extra weight helps prevent the cars from slowing and stopping on the track. If the cars don't make the complete run, we have to call a wrecker to pull them out of the dip. Pulling the cars out of the dip is dangerous and unnecessary work. Unnecessary if we have done our work properly in the first place. To pull the cars out, the steel cable from the wrecker has to be pulled over the top of the hill and down into the bottom of the dip where the cars are. The cable is then hooked to the front end of the train. Then the wrecker slowly reels in the steel cable, pulling the cars up to the top of the next hill. When the train reaches the top of the hill, a 4x12 ledger is placed on the track behind the train so it won't roll back. After the steel cable is removed, 4 or 5 men are then needed to give the train a shove over the top of the hill. Now let's watch the first test run of the season. The train has been loaded with sandbags and 2 brave men in the back seat. During the summer, the entire track has to be inspected every morning and during the day while the coaster is operating. We look for loose bolts and broken screws. The broken or missing screws are usually found on the side friction steel. The steel on top of the track rarely gives us any problems. Sometimes the train can rip off 20 feet of side steel and keep on going as if nothing had happened. Well, keeping that in mind, let's all sit back and take a ride on the Screeching Eagle.